Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Dream, and you are here for a sub-podcast of the It's All Good show. This is the EESystem Center owners interviews. And I hold this sub-podcast near and dear to my heart for my own experience because I had back-to-back strokes in 2020, and the EESystem technology had me go from barely able to use a walker to walking unassisted in 2 hours. And so the technology is amazing. I've been fortunate enough to visit over 38 centers all over the country. And now I get to interview center owners that I didn't get to meet. And today is exciting because it's someone that I had contact with, and we were going to take our tour to her center, and then just things didn't work out with the schedule. But this is for me like the next best thing. And today I'm happy to welcome Janine Williams. Hello, Janine. Happy that you can join us on the It's All Good show.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Dream. I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and talk with you.
This is fabulous. Janine has Forever Me Healing in Brandon, Florida. It's outside of Tampa. And she's got a 12-unit EE system that opened in August of 2023. But quite honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg of everything that Janine has going on. And before we get into all the details about everything that she offers and how amazing her center is, I want to ask you, how did you first hear about EESystem?
Well, if I can sort of kind of go back a little bit before I first heard about it, I was divinely shown during a meditation that I was to have a healing center. And that was December of 2021. And I came out of that meditation and I looked up like I normally do. And I said, I don't need a healing center with what I do. As an emotional energy healer and empowering self-relationship coach, I was already working with people all over the world through Zoom if I wasn't face-to-face with them. So as the months went on, I developed a frozen shoulder. Then I was in a car accident, March of 22. And then I developed plantar fasciitis. And then I saw the video that went viral with Dr. Michael. And all I could think of is, oh, I hope there's going to be a center near me. I want to go to that center because I knew that my frozen shoulder was trapped energy. As an energy healer, I knew that, but it's really hard, I personally think, to work on yourself, right? We all block things. So I just kept on searching and waited until there was a center that was somewhat close. I had to drive a little over an hour, and I went to the center down in Sarasota, Soulful Waves. And that was in November of 2022. And I went in, I had no expectations. I laid back, I could feel the energy move over my liver. And then I was completely out. Then about 15 minutes before my 2-hour session was up, I could raise my hand over my head. And before, I could only raise my hand this high. So I just raised my hands all the way up over my head, and I felt all my muscles elongate. I could feel the fascia in my foot just stretch. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like a huge weight had been lifted off my body. And I stood up after my session. I took a friend with me and I looked at her and I said, I believe I'm supposed to open up one of these centers. And she said, really? I said, yes. I think this is what they were showing me in that meditation a year ago. And she said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'll apply. What's the worst thing they'll say? And that's basically how I heard about it and got the ball rolling.
such a powerful experience, like so many of us have had just in our first time. And so you opened in August, end of August 2023. So you're coming up on your 2-year anniversary
Yes.
here in a bit.
Mhm.
Um, what have you found? What what testimonials? What have you seen? You've had, of course, a lot more time for yourself in the system. Share with us some of the stories.
Oh, some of my favorite ones is I have this 84-year-old lady who was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. And her urologist said, "You are 1 point away from having to go on dialysis." And she really didn't want to go on dialysis. So she took a trip actually out to California to see her one daughter, and she went to an EE center. So that's when she was first introduced to the EE system. And then she came back to Florida, and then one of her nieces had already started coming to my center. And she's like, "Wait a minute, there's a center right here." So she started coming to my center. So about 4 or 5 sessions into her journey, she went back to her urologist to see like where her markers were and if she was going to have to start dialysis. And he said to her, "What have you been doing? Because I've never seen kidney disease reverse." And so she told him, and he said, "Keep doing it." She went from stage 4 to stage 3B. I don't know what the B part stands for, but that's what she said, stage 3B. So that I was like, "Oh, wow, I love hearing stories like that." So that's one example. Lots of people came in with herniated disc or bulging disc. Their bodies were in pain. And then after some of them, 38 hours, their pain was gone. One woman, she said that she used to go to the bathroom like 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night. And after doing about 40 hours in the system, she no longer wakes up in the middle of the night with an overactive bladder. We've had people that tons of pain in the body, rheumatoid arthritis, and that the pain is going away in their body. Um, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, we've had, there's this one young man who was diagnosed as schizophrenic and bipolar. And every time he was even near the space, let alone in the space, he said that he just felt complete, whole, calm, like it felt like home to him. So those are just some of the stories that we've had. We currently have some people that have cancer that are coming in to help with the process of what other some of the other treatments that they are doing. So yeah, we'll get back to you on some more miracles later.
Just love it. And it's miracles. It's like
Yeah.
the EE system allows the body to create miracles. Now,
Mhm.
I'm going to, in a little bit, get into all your qualifications and healing modalities that you do. But for this question, suffice it to say you are a very high level healing practitioner. How do you explain the EE system to someone who has never heard about it, or maybe just has heard about it on the surface? With your background and knowledge and everything, how do you explain it?
Well, I first start out by explaining that we have 50 trillion cells in our body. And each of those cells has the mitochondria. Most people know what that is. It has the nucleus in the center of it. And what ends up happening is, as time goes on, with a combination of environmental toxins, toxins that we consume, toxins we put on the topical on our skin, and most importantly, the emotional toxins, suppressed emotions that we don't process. And what ends up happening is it drains the energy from the cells. So when that happens, there's dis-ease in the body, which is disease, And then they're just setting themselves up, or their body is set up to, get sick easier, or other like cells can mutate. But the bottom line is, and then I go back to my analogy on cell phones. You think of your cell phone, it starts slowing down with the more apps we have on it and pictures, but we have to plug it in every night to have a full battery charge. Well, think of the energy enhancement system as your body is plugging in to that energy source to charge those cells so we can detox our body and we can get our bodies back into balance so it can heal naturally, just like our bodies were created to heal. So
That
that's
is,
typically, yeah, what I say.
I love that. Now, before these conversations, I like to do a little bit of research here and there, and you made it incredibly fun for me because it was like a nonstop list of specialties. You are an emotional energy healer. You're an expert in
Mhm.
inner child healing. You're a spiritual coach. You're a transformational coach. And I think there's even more there than what I just listed, as if that wasn't enough. Um, so this is included in your center here. Like you
Mhm.
offer so much. So tell us how it integrates, and do you have people that come in for the EE system and end up getting transformational coaching or emotional energy healing and things like
Mhm.
that from you?
Yes. So typically, a lot of people come in for the energy enhancement system, and then they experience, one of our emotional energy healing services. We also have the Pandora Star. So they may experience that before they actually go into the EE room. So they come in for the EE system, but typically those that really want to take their healing a lot deeper, then they get one of the other services that, I offer. Yeah. It's
Now, do you do any of the services actually in the EE system room?
mhm, I do. So all my emotional energy healing services I do in the EE room. I figured it's there. Why not use that energy to just deepen their healing journey? So when that happens, obviously I have to schedule when we don't have anyone, scheduled, or our off hours, just so we're not interrupted.
I love that because what I've found as a multiple modality healing practitioner is that when I do sessions on people in that room, everything is amplified.
Mm-hmm.
And it amazes me what I see. Now you mentioned the Pandora star. Now this is a type of light therapy that
Mm-hmm.
before I saw it on your website, I've actually researched it. Talk to us a little bit about that. It's fun.
Yeah, it's different for everyone. So there's different programs, and what people experience is going to be different. So the light itself is white. And when it, like, keep your eyes closed, and when it's over your face, and it's certain programs, what I'm hearing people, which I've experienced it myself, I only bring stuff in that I personally experienced, but they'll say, "Oh, I saw these beautiful colors of geometrical shapes, and I felt like I was off in like another world." And some people are like, "I could see angels coming toward me." I've had others say it just felt like all my emotions came to the surface, and I was okay with them, and I released them. So that's just, everyone's different. Just like everyone experiences something different in the EE room, everyone experiences something different with the Pandora Star therapy as well. But a lot of
That's
people will do it to reset their nervous system, like get their nervous system, their autonomic nervous system, more in that parasympathetic response before going into the EE room. So then they go into a deeper state of healing when they're in the EE room.
what a nice kind of like 1-2 hug.
Yeah.
Get the first setup and then going in there. Now, I saw on your site you have something called Ignite Your Light. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that.
So, as an empowering self relationship coach, and I have to tell this story because it's so important in my journey, is when after I finished my schooling, I first got my certifications as a health coach and a life coach. And I was meditating and I just set the intention, what should the name of my coaching business be? Now, I was in the process of getting my mastery in transformational inner child healing certifications. And what I saw was it was Yeshua, Jesus, standing there looking over his left shoulder and tattooed on his back said, "Forever me." And above it and below it were these buildings that were together. And I came out of that meditation. And again, I looked up and I was like, well, that's not what I was thinking, but let me see, what does this feel like to me? And I was like, okay, forever me, loving self, coming back home to self, which is that true, authentic, what God created us to be, that spark, that light. And but what were those buildings that were together? And then, like, I don't know, about 2 weeks later, I was talking to this gentleman, and he said, "Home is where the heart is." And it was like this light bulb went off, and I was like, "Come back home to the heart. Open up the heart." And those buildings were townhomes. Townhomes are put together, right? Well, it was creating this unified field of oneness, is what I then gathered. I was like, oh, that feels so right. So that program is bringing people back home to themselves. It's peeling away the layers of, like, think of an onion, those layers of experiences, those doubts, those self-limited beliefs that typically keep us stuck and not moving forward, sometimes in our purpose, sometimes in our beliefs. And it's getting to the root cause of why do we believe what we believe. And then my process is I always take people to their soul, speak to their soul to get that guidance, because I believe the power is in each and every one of us. Nobody outside of you can be that spark for you. You are your own individual spark. So that program is just to take people back to their true authentic self.
So appreciate hearing that story. Now, you do offer some events also.
Yes. So, like this month, we are doing a transmutational meditation in the EE room where it's to help release trapped emotions in the body. So, we'll do it in a group setting. I do a lot of stuff one on one, but I'm trying to do more and more group settings to help people impact more people at one time. And then we will sometimes we'll do somatic release breath work in there. I'll have other practitioners come in, and but this particular month is going to be the transmutational meditation.
I have to say, I'm very impressed with your focus on the emotional body. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that nothing shows up on the physical body if it hasn't been hanging out in the emotional body for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then it needs to jump into the physical body and pretty much say, hey, I'm now really going to get your attention. And so having that as a piece of your practice and as an offering, I think makes it even more valuable, everything that you offer, and makes the EE system that much more powerful for people, truly.
Well, I knew that in 2019, when I call it my towering event, when all that took place, I had I had two choices, which I almost feel like the one choice was I didn't have a choice, but I did have a choice. My heart opened up to the point that at the time I didn't know what was going on. And I felt as if somebody had overtaken my body. And I looked around, and everyone that was involved in this towering event, I could feel their pain. I could feel that the reason why they made the decisions that they made was based on pain, choices, experiences that they hadn't healed. And I didn't understand what all that meant because I wasn't on this path at that time. And 2 weeks later, I said to my husband, do you know all this was supposed to happen for a much bigger reason than the event itself? I don't know what that is, but I will figure it out. But I had to go through my own journey. I had to heal so many layers of my own pain. And I think that's why I'm so passionate when the inner child part is because that's a lot of our pain was created when we were a child. And we just don't realize it. And, we talk about trauma, people talk about trauma, and some people say, well, I didn't have any trauma as a child. Trauma to a child can be as simple as being ignored, not feeling like they're heard, not feeling like they're seen or validated. And the most biggest thing is not feeling like they're not able to take action. Because what we as parents, I mean, nobody teaches us this stuff, but a lot of parents will project their own traumas, their own pain onto their child. So that's why I'm so passionate on the inner child healing and healing those big traumas, little traumas, trauma. To the body, trauma's trauma. So, yeah.
It's such important work, and I love that you're really applying it to everybody. Like so many of us had just maybe what we consider like a normal childhood, and yet there were those times that we weren't heard, that we didn't know what to do, that we felt alone. And we can say, oh, it was just a normal childhood. Basically, I was happy, and we're thinking, oh, I didn't have that severe trauma I've heard other people have had. And yet everybody has inner child work to do. I have yet to meet someone that doesn't have that. And it's so important. And I have to say, I mean, I feel people, and I just feel your heart so present in who you are and what you do, and how incredibly that how valuable that is for your community there. Now, I want to ask you about something I read on your site. It's called Together as One Fund. Explain to us what that is.
So the Together as One Fund is a fund that if, for instance, someone isn't going to be able to finish their package before it expires, they have a choice, obviously to finish it, or if they want to donate it, and they can specify to who they want me to apply it to. Like, for instance, I recently it was a family, and they do a lot of traveling, and they weren't going to be able to use up the rest of their package. So they said, will you please just donate it to your fund towards anyone that has cancer? So that's what I mean by they can specify like a certain condition or whatever. And then what I do is I will match whatever the center will match, how many sessions somebody wants to donate, either from their package or if they want to actually purchase a package that goes right into it. And then we spread that out to help those that maybe they can't financially afford to come on a regular basis, but they need it. So that's what the fun, because it's really about coming together and helping each other out.
And I really like this because it's not just you saying, oh, the center's going to give a certain amount each month. You're really tying in your members, your community into this. And I even read that, like, if you refer someone, there's, a session or something that you get out of that, you can go ahead and just give that to the fund, which then means if it's one session, then with the one you match, that someone's getting the benefit of 2 sessions. And
Right.
I think it's a really lovely setup that you've done and way to give back to the community and to those that just don't have the wherewithal to get the number of sessions they need and everything. And I absolutely commend you for that. So sorry we weren't able to come to Brandon to do one of our events with you and meet you in person, but I know we'll meet you in person one day. Now, give
Yes.
us an idea. You're outside of Tampa. How close are you to Tampa?
Oh, not that far. Like downtown Tampa from us is about 25 minutes.
Okay,
So
perfect.
yeah, we're not that far. And then from the airport, Tampa Airport, it's about 45 minutes, but we're east. We're east. So
Okay.
I
And
purposely picked this location. Actually, I didn't pick it. I was shown this location. And it's because it's more on that easy part of people in the Tampa Bay area to get to, whether it's taking the crosstown. So anyone listening to this that is familiar with the Tampa Bay area, they know the crosstown, they know I-4, they know 75, and we're sort of kind of like right there in the middle of that. Everything just dumps in the Brandon area.
perfect. Oh, I had something I wanted to ask. Oh my gosh, just this never happens to me. It completely escaped my mind. Maybe it'll come to me before we close. So we've talked about a lot. I've tried to cover everything that you have going on, which I have to say is a pretty big task in a conversation because you offer so much. Did we leave anything out, or is there any thing you want to talk about? I know that like all center owners, you recommend the detox protocol for everyone that comes in.
Yes.
Which is the bath with the salt, the borax, and the baking soda. So it's always good to put that in here. Is there anything else that we may have missed, or some of your philosophy that we didn't get to that you want to interject here?
Well, one of the things that I think it's important for anyone that is interested in either experiencing the energy enhancement system or maybe they experienced it, is it's not something that, yes, some people have had miracles happen with one session, like I did. Okay. But the average person, they need multiple sessions. So I think some people have a misconception. They think, oh, one session, I'm good. Well, it took us a while to get to this state, our body. And it's so important that people understand this is a commitment. It's a commitment to yourself. Just like when we change our eating habits and we decide, okay, we're going to eliminate all sugar, or we're going to eliminate sugar and flour. It's not just for the short term, it's the long term. Because until this world and all the toxicity that we are exposed to, once that's completely gone, that's a different story. But we still have to continue to do our part. So I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression thinking you can do one session and then boom, you're good. Your cells are, at full capacity of millivolts. It is a cumulative thing. So I do want to stress that because I don't want to give the wrong impression just because my story, I was no longer in pain. Average person feels a shift in their body like 20%. Like if they have pain in their body, it's a 20% reduction at each session, typically. So just wanted to stress that. And remember this, we create the world based on how we feel about the world. So we typically feel about the world based on what's going on within us. We live in that mirroring universe. So those of you listening to this, you have the power to make those shifts within you, physically, mentally, spiritually, but it starts with a commitment to self. So I just wanted to add that in there.
I do so appreciate that. And while just to interject, while my initial response was to be able to walk, 100 feet without the use of a walker or any assistance. I kept the walker for another 2.5 weeks. I spent 70 hours in the system over 5 weeks, then bought a cube so I could continue it. And my entire healing process from my back-to-back strokes was a 2-year process. But it was an amazing process, and it started off, with just getting in there and getting those hours. And they say that you want to get as many hours in the system in as short of an amount of time as you can do it. And I know you offer, that was the other thing I wanted to mention that flew out of my head. You offer overnights also.
Yes. So we have overnights. Some, people can do private overnights. And then we have once a month group overnights. As a matter of fact, we have a group overnight this Friday. And it's our group overnights is 11 hours in the EE room.
That's just a great way to pick up, extra time on the charger, as it were.
Exactly. Get plugged in all night.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Janine, it's a treat for me to have had this conversation with you. The EE system owners, by and large, are just so committed and so dedicated. And for you to have all these other modalities and a focus on the emotional body and everything else, I hope your community and your members know how fortunate they are to have you there as the steward of these energies. And I just want to thank you so much for being a guest on the It's All Good show. And one day I'm looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Dream. I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and talk with you and connect with you. And I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing for humanity. Humanity is very blessed to have you. So thank you.
Well, we're great mirrors for each other, and we're all in this together. Thank you so much,
Yes.
and have a lovely day.
Thank you. You too.